Hello, Maceros. Welcome. So what we are going to do today is create application package for something called Uniflow. Uniflow is an amazing solution. I don't know which company handles it, but till today for printing, what we used to do is we used to deploy the drivers and then we used to configure the print queue and deploy the print queue, right? That's how it worked. And then the driver has to go before the queue and all those things. What Uniflow does is it's a solution that works everywhere on your phone, on your laptop, everywhere. That means you don't need to have a driver and you can print from your phone. So, a phone as well. So, this is an amazing solution. This also means you only need to deploy the solution and the print queue is inbuilt in the solution. So, you don't have to deploy a separate print queue. So I have a request to create application packages. This is pretty old package. So 2020. And then I have a packaging requirement. This one, I don't know, you could call anything package request or package request form or whatever, but I have just made it simple. So the packaging requirement in my case is uninstall previous version of Uniflow Smart Client, UFO. Yeah, we would call UFO just to make it faster. And remove the old print queue as well. So, and this print queue could be coming from anywhere. So I'll quickly show you the solution. So there are various ways of packaging. So I'll try to cover at least one or two. And this time we are not going to do with the command line, but if you're interested to know via command line, of course, do it yourself. And if you face any problem, follow the older videos, do it yourself. If you face any problem, let me know. We'll try to solve it. Okay, so we saw the requirement uninstall previous, which is pretty simple, and remove the old print queue. We'll talk about how to remove the old print queues from Mac as well. And this you could use anywhere, right, for troubleshooting purpose and all. So first thing, what I always say, check the package, check the installer media or the raw installer, whatever the package owner has given you or the software owner has given you. So in our case, we got this. And as I always say that check the PKG with suspicious package, I also say, which probably I'm saying to you guys first time, is when you get a DMG, it's very important that you do ls, using command line, do ls-la in the volume that you mounted or the DMG file to see if there is any hidden dependency for that. I've seen a lot of packages which have some kind of configuration file which is hidden. So first we saw this, we saw what it is, and then so this is the PKG file, right? So we see what all things are getting installed. Okay, and then you have some pre-install and post-install script, which is coming from the company itself. Okay, then we close this. Now we have the DMG file which we have mounted here. Let's launch terminal and see if there is anything hidden here. Space -la volumes. So when you double click on a DMG file, it mounts here. I mean, it might not show up here, but it mounts as volume. So if you open a new Finder window, you might see it here as well. But then this or this you could hide from Finder. So if you don't see it here, that means it's hidden from Finder. So you could go and change the settings of Finder, and then you could see the mounted external or internal volumes or network share as well. But coming back to the point, when you double click, it shows up here. You do ls space -la and just drag it. Like, you don't even have to type it. You drag it, and you will also learn how the path should look like. If something is, if a DMG file is double clicked and it's on your device, it comes on in this format, volumes, this. I know it's quite boring for older people, but for new people, it's interesting and good to know, right? That's how you build your foundation. Okay, so we see there is a file called tenant-config.plist. So this means if this has some kind of configuration, the PKG is set to read the config file. And it also means that if it cannot find the CFG file, it might fail. So let's see what's inside the tenant CFG file. Okay, increase the size. We did. So we can read using cat, right? Volumes, Uniflow. Yep. Dot .tenant config, right? So it has the installer ID, installer name, and then product version 2020, package version, and then you see it has print queue name as well, right? And it has here server name as well. So everything, because it's a print service, so everything is on Uniflow online, and then your company name and probably the country of the company. But it's a printing service and it's a cloud based, so it's always uniflowonline.com and then your company name before that. So we see what it is. Okay, so whenever the pkg runs, it needs to have, and we could do a practical as well, it needs to have that Uniflow file hidden in the same format, dot Uniflow. When you put a dot in front of file name, the file vanishes, it becomes a hidden file, and you could read using terminal, or you could unhide the hidden file in Finder. I'm sure you guys know that. If you don't just put a comment, somebody would answer, or we could answer. Okay, so let's do a practical. So inside this DMG file, if you try to install, it has the hidden config file, so it would read. Let's drag it on the desktop. Now the hidden config file is not hidden tenant config file is not in the same folder, because right now it's on the desktop. Let's see if it's able to install or not. It's a very practical thing for me to test as well, and for you guys to learn that will it install. If it's not, see, it failed. But on the other hand, if I install it from the DMG file, which has the hidden tenant config file, it should not fail. Let's see. See, it added the background and it's installing. So that means that .tenant config file is important. So what would you do? You have to deploy it in a way so that wherever the installer runs, it is able to find that .tenant config file as well. So there are various ways, as I said, Composer, command line, but today we are going to do something new. We would use FileWave admin to create the package. But before we do, let's quickly open the requirement again. So packaging requirement, they said you need to uninstall the previous version and remove the old queue. So I found my old configuration. I found my old pre-install or post-install script. I used to call it uniflow.sh. Can I open with, yeah. Are you following me? So what we did is we opened the pkg file, checked it. We opened the DMG to see if there is something hidden. Always remember, if you get a DMG to create a package, always open it to know. Now, if you use Composer, why would you need to repackage it? Because you already can deploy DMG, right? Also, any other tool that supports DMG, you don't really need to repackage. Just add a pre-installed script. And using Composer, you could just deploy the DMG file. Let's come back to the script. So this is pretty old, yeah, but it would do the job. So what it's doing is it's using ps grep to find if there is any application running with this name. And I quickly want to show you guys the script line by line. Apologies. Terminal. So whenever I create a script, first I run line by line and then I run the whole script to see if it works. So what it's doing in first line, it's trying to find the processes related to apologies. So there is no process running at this moment, which is true because if Uniflow Smart Client runs, it shows up here. Anyway, so let's try to run Uniflow Smart Client manually. Probably it would ask to configure, which I can't, but let's try. Okay. Applications. Something is wrong with the poor boy. Okay. So we see what it's doing is it's trying to find the process ID of the running application, and this is pre-installed script, right? So you run this and then install the a DMG or PKG, whatever you plan to deploy. So if it cannot find, it's okay. And if it finds, it would kill the application and then it would uninstall. Okay. And if the process is running, it would kill and then it would uninstall. If the process is not running, it would just uninstall or remove it actually. There is no uninstallation happening. And you understand the difference in removing and uninstalling, right? We'll talk about it later probably. But in my case, I remember there were multiple process IDs for this Uniflow Smart Client. So it was finding all of them and killing all of them one by one. And then it slept for 3 seconds. I don't know why I put sleep, but yeah, it slept for 3 seconds and then it removed the application. And this is the command to remove the old print queue name. So if you need to remove the print queue name, and you could remove any print queue name with this command, which is nice. You could use it for your other things as well. So this is my pre-install, okay? And there's no need of any post-install script. So you decide if you have Composer, you could just deploy that thing, deploy the entire DMG, put this into pre-install, and you're done, right? If you're using FileWave, let's have a look at it. So FileWave is also pretty cool. If you take the DMG file, the package file itself, where are we? This one. If you open this, drag drop the package file here, it automatically creates a file structure. So this is how FileWave works. FileWave copies the installer at this location and then runs the installer from there. So it actually executes the same installer-pkg command at the backend to install it. But you see, I've only dragged my pkg. That means when FileWave will try to install it, it cannot find the DMG file. It cannot find the tenant config file and it would fail. So the next step is to bring the tenant config file here, which is hidden. So what we would do is we would do cp volumes. We will take the file uniflow dot and move it on the desktop for now with the users Steve Jobs desktop and remove the cfg dot plist. So if I remove the dot before the file name, it would unhide itself. So now that file is on the desktop. Come in list format, sort it with date. You see it's here. So what I would do is I'll take this CFG file and bring it in the same folder where the PKG is sitting, because PKG is getting executed at the same location. Now I'll change the file name by adding a dot before it so that it's hidden, where this is hard coded in the PKG to read a file with .tenant config. And at this moment I can talk a little bit more. You can also open the PKG, go to the pre-install, post-install, wherever it's asking to read the tenant config file. You could change the name of the tenant config to something else, or you could also remove the hidden thing. You understand? You can also point it to read that from, if you have a specific location, like in my our company, what I do is I have created a location called USR local bitsys. So bitsys technology is the company name. So USR local bitsys. And here I keep all the configuration file, all the scripts. There are different folders. So things that we deploy are here in one location. So we know where it is, how to control. So you could also point the package to read the file from a certain location. It doesn't have to be here, right? But then it's an advanced thing. Do you really want to do it? But I'm telling you, there is a possibility. If you ever want to, you can do it. And it's same about any other package. Coming back to the point. So here is your package. Okay. Now what else do you want? You want a pre-install on this. So in FileWave, it's pretty simple. You select your package. So this is your whole package. If you hit with option, you can see what all things are included. This thing, and you come out, select it, and there is an option of script. So what do you want? You want pre-install script, right? In FileWave, you can add it as activation. So not really activation. It has to be a pre-flight script. Yeah. Create. Kill Uniflow online. Copy paste the script. Okay, that's it. So the package is created. If it was Composer, you could just deploy the DMG itself, or you could also take out the pkg file and the config file, bundle those two things and deploy it and add a pre-install or post-install pre-install script in that. So that's pretty simple. So this is how I used to handle the Uniflow client some time back. But try it if you get the packaging request. Let me know if there is any additional customizations that you face challenge with. We'll try to discuss and try to solve it. But that's it for today. Have a good day.